Hello and welcome to Odd Sock Comics. This is my new comic book day pickup for February 6th, 2019. And I'm recording this a couple of days late again because like last week I was traveling again this week and I was out of town, very busy on Wednesday night. So I wasn't in town to pick up my books and I wasn't able to read anything until today. But I did get back home and I'm ready to pick up the books that were on my pull list, took a quick look around the store, and ready to do some reviews and show you what I've picked up. Because I was traveling, I also got to pick up some interesting stuff. So I want to start with the contest book. We now have 6 entries, 6 out of 10. As soon as I get to 10, I will get ready to run the contest per the rules that I laid out. This is the book that I'm giving away. I'll do it as soon as we get 10 entries, so the odds are about as good as you're ever going to get on a contest. So if you see this video and you haven't signed up for the contest here, check out the link below. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment on the contest video, which will be linked below. So I do want to give this away as soon as possible. It would be fantastic if I got this out before next week. So let me know, or if you haven't signed up for the contest, sign up. You'll get this book for free if you win. All right, so first up, I want to show my favorite book of the week. I didn't get a lot this week. There wasn't really that much that interested me. But my favorite book to read this week was Conan the Barbarian #3. Now this one has, most of the Conan books that came around have been very interesting. This was a really cool story, a lot of action, a lot of that kind of, I don't know, violence and adventure that you expect to get out of Conan. I think he's just doing a really good job with this, Jason Aaron. There's always a little bit of a tie back to like an overarching story, but each of these books kind of stands on its own and you don't have to have, you can come in at any time. You get a little bit of the story. You may not understand what's going on at the very end, but it's a standalone story, which was a lot of fun, really fantastic, really shows, builds on Conan the character and in this really fun world. So, love this one. From what I've heard, he's going to be tied into the main Marvel universe at some point within the next couple weeks, but so I'm going to keep an eye on that. But I do really enjoy Conan the Barbarian. This is my favorite book of the week. All right, next up I have The Immortal Hulk #13, which is kind of a conclusion to the first arc, I think. And honestly, I found it a little bit of a kind of Deus Ex Machina. It's been a great story that they've built up, but it didn't quite resolve. It was a whole bunch of build over the last 12 issues. And then with this one, it kind of faded away a little bit too easily. And that's the part that I think there's a lot of that going on in comic books. I don't know. It seems like there are some really good stories in the past, but they may just be the few that stand out because they really are great stories. Like I'm thinking, Infinity Gauntlet, there was a lot going on in that story all along. And it didn't just tie up in one issue at the very end. There were multiple loose ends that had to tie up. And this one didn't quite have that. So while I think that the first 12 stories building it up, digging into the character of Hulk and the mythos and everything were very cool, this one was a little weak on tying it all together. I hope that they keep digging in deeper in the next few issues. But a little bit of a letdown, I'll be honest. Okay, next up I have Batman 64. And I gotta say, I didn't like this one at all. It's not in the sequence of the previous issues. This is trying to tie into Heroes in Crisis. And it's okay, but it's a little, not quite my style. And that's fine. Does that even say this was written by Williamson? So this isn't Tom King. So that's interesting. But what I will say is, I'm going to flip this to the side. I love this cover. This is Sean Gordon Murphy. You can tell he's got his car there in the background. And man, that's a really cool cover. I wish, like that's something that I put up on my wall. No doubt. I may do that with this book just because. So I didn't really enjoy the story. Wasn't told very well. Not really interesting to me. Not a lot of cool stuff going on. Action, adventure, anything like that. But oh well. So the last book I got, and this one I got only for the cover, is I picked up Harley Quinn number 58. And this cover obviously just shines. This is like, I'd call this like a bubblegum cover. There's just so much candy and flavor being thrown at you. It's fun. I grabbed it. It fits in with a few of the other books that I've got. It's not quite as classy as some of the really good artistic books I've got, but it's fun. So that one I bought for the cover. It'll pack away for a while. We'll see what I do with it down the road. Okay, so I had a couple of interesting days. So last Saturday, I went to a comic convention here in town, and I got a couple of interesting things that I wanted to share out here. So this was it was a smaller comic convention, and not a lot of artists. I think there were a couple of were definitely some big names, but only one or two big names, mostly small artists, and much smaller than the bigger convention that comes here every year. But it was completely focused on comic books. Very little of the other stuff going on. So I picked up a few books. Mostly, I was there with my son, and so I was helping him look through boxes, and we were just kind of seeing what he was interested in. And Venom is something that he's familiar with, and so there's kind of a Venom focus on this. But so first up, I have Lethal Protector, Venom Lethal Protector number 1. So this is got a very cool red foil cover that everyone's very familiar with. Now, I saw this in a bunch of different places, and people were asking 30, 40 bucks for it. And then I went to one guy that had it in a bin, wasn't out. I was just scrolling through the long box, and it was in a 20% off long box. It was marked at $10, so he charged me $8 for it. But the best thing of all is he charged me $8, but I also got this book. Now, there's nothing really special about this book. It's really not worth anything. I don't know anything about it. But one of the reasons that I liked getting this book for free is it came in a Mylar bag with a oh shoot, what are they called? Halfback? With the nicer archive type backing board. And it's not in there now because I don't care about this book. I put a book that I actually care about preserving in there. But I got these two books together, Lethal Protector and Amazing Spider-Man 380 with a really cool Carnage and Venom cover. I got both of those for $8 total, so I felt like that was a good deal. All right, next up, there was an interesting shop that had everything listed at 50% off, and they had a pretty good run of Spider-Man, so I grabbed a couple of Spider-Man books that stood out that my son grabbed as well. So this is number 332, just a really cool Venom cover. Here's number 315, which I believe is the first issue of Venom after his first run in 300. And here's 306, which is just a nice Action Comics #1 homage that I think is really cool. And then that same guy, so I'm trying to think, I don't think I spent more than $10 on any of these. I think they were $9 or $10 a piece. And then I got this, which is it says second printing, but it's really the third printing of Ultimate Fallout #4, the first appearance of Miles Morales. And this booth had a stack of these books on it, and they were just charging $5 a piece. And I was like, might as well. We can at least read the story. And so my son read that. He likes Miles Morales, of course. My son read it. He said he didn't get it because it's in the middle of a story. But I haven't read it yet, but I'll get around to that at some point. All right, so that was one of the other booths that I bought a few things at. And then I have one more booth, and this is where I really won. So first of all, this is a book that I've been looking for a while. I'll tell you why I bought this one in just a second. It wasn't really a great deal. I paid $10 for this. And this is Spawn #9. It's the first appearance of Angela, who I've always kind of liked. Very cool McFarlane cover, early Spawn. And Angela is in the Marvel Universe these days. I think that she's one of Thor's people. But the real reason that I bought this, it's something that I had my eye on, and the price was right. I think I paid about $10 again for this, which is about the right price. It's not like that was a deal. But the reason that I really grabbed it is because it was right next to this one, and I didn't want to set the owner off. So this is Marvel Spotlight number 32, which is the first appearance of Spider-Woman. And this book, he had a sticker on it for I think $20. And so I didn't want to set him off. And so if I had just brought the one book up, I think there would have been a bigger chance that he'd realize what he had and say, oh, I can't sell it for that price. But because I brought up two, he just gave them to me, and he smiled at me. He knew that I knew what I'd gotten. And so I was happy to get this. I think that book, it's not in excellent condition by any stretch. There's some kinks and stuff, but it's pretty good. It's pretty firm. Looks good on the inside. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 bucks. Not anything amazing, but it basically paid for every other book that I got there if I were to sell that one, which I have no interest in. It fits my collection criteria for the other things that I've picked up. Go with my Ms. Marvel #1, along with all those things. So, really cool book there. So that's what I got at the comic convention. And had a good time with my son, just strolling through, taking my time with the long boxes. No one was really getting in the way. So that was last Saturday. This week I was in Southern California. I don't go there very often, but I thought that I would take a look around at some of the shops. The comic scene there is a little bit different than a lot of other places that I've been. But I went to one shop, and they had the 2 Murder Falcon cover Bs that I was missing. So these are the heavy metal covers. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting which one's which. Well, I know that the one on the right is Iron Maiden, I believe. And I can't remember if the one on the left is Yngwie Malmsteen or something like that. I think it's Yngwie Malmsteen, but I don't know the cover right off the top of my head. But these are obviously homages to some heavy metal album covers, which I love these. I now have the 4 books that are out. I have the heavy metal covers for all 4 of those. Honestly, those are going on my wall. I love these. I think they're fantastic. I'll put them up next to the albums that they homage as well. So I found these at one store, just cover price. I've been kind of keeping my eye out for them, but haven't found them anywhere else. So I was happy to see that. And then I went to one last store, and this store was really, really cool. It was Southern California Comics, which is, it's a really good shop in Southern California, in San Diego. And I went out there, and there was some interesting stuff. So first up, I'll just show this one. This book, not valuable at all, but I think that it's still really fun. This is Angela #1. And I kind of got this because I was on this Angela kick with getting that Spawn #9. So I got this for $1. It's really not worth any more than $1, but it is really cool. It's a Greg Capullo cover from like 1994, whenever this came out. Very cool, heavy metal, blood splattering, all that cool stuff. And I believe the story is by Neil Gaiman, which is also interesting. So just a cool book to have. It'll go along with Angela, or with Spawn #9. But then I got 2 other books, and one of them I've left the price tag on. So this one, I've been keeping an eye out for this. This is Detective Comics from the New 52 run, #1, and this is the first print. And I've looked for this. I look for this every time I go to a comic convention. I look to see if they have any copies of Detective Comics #1. They almost never do. I don't think that I've ever seen it. Oh, I did see it once in the wild, except I think it was a second print. But I hear that there's like a 6th print that's really valuable. I don't understand exactly why, other than maybe low print run. But I've left the price tag on this one accidentally. I was going through the bins at Southern California Comics, and he had probably 40 copies of this book, and most of them had $10 price tags on it. And this one had a $5 price tag. And I was like, $5, I'll buy it, even if it's not in perfect condition. But I grabbed it, and I was looking at it, and there's really not any reason that it's not in perfect condition. So looking at the edges, I don't know why this one was $5 and the others were $10. Anyway, it looked like raw. This is going for about $30 right now. So happy to buy it. It's a good book to have. And then I got one more book, and I've got mixed feelings about this one as well. I'm still happy to buy it. This is one that I can't get it to stand up on its own. It's too slick in there. Well, that's dumb. Well, that's going to have to do for now. I'll hold it up. But this is Monstrous #1, which I've wanted to find. I haven't found it in the wild before. And the reason that I bought this, it's a 9.2, which means it's basically worthless. They're pretty much the only CGCs out there for this book are 9.8s, and they're really not. There's really no reason to buy it if it's not a 9.8. But I did decide, oh, that's cool. You can see my phone. I did decide to buy this one because of the price, quite frankly. I have not seen this book. I've seen it on back walls and stuff for like $50 here and there. This book, and ungraded, so I don't know, there's always a risk with that. But this is a 9.2 in the shell for $30. And I was like, I would probably be willing to spend $30 on this book ungraded, and I probably wouldn't ever get above a 9.2 on something like that. So why not just buy it graded? I'm almost tempted. This may be one that I pull out of the case just because I can. But picked it up. Always fun to get another CGC book. $30 wasn't too much there. And added that to my collection. That one doesn't quite fit my collecting style, so I don't know if I'm going to hold on to it for very long. I'll either decide to crack it and either read it and then sell it, see if it's something that I want to keep, or just sell it as is, see if I can make a little bit of a turnaround on it. Because that one, you know, if you're interested, let me know. Like I said, I paid $30 for it. I'd probably need $50 shipped, but it's probably not worth that to most of the people on there. But if it is to you, let me know. I'm not trying to sell things through this channel. I was just thinking, you know, save everybody a little bit of ease if that you're like, man, I wish I had that. But I completely understand if you're not. So back to the first book. The contest's still going on. Please, if you stuck around this long, you really ought to sign up for that contest and make sure that you're subscribed. I'm going to have more videos coming out soon. I have one Artgerm book left to get, and I think I'm going to order it this week. So next week I'll probably do a final Artgerm collection that has at least one version of every book he's made. So that'll be good. And I'll just finish by putting this one up here along with it. My pick of the week, Conan #3. So thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe, enter the contest at the link in the description below, and let me know what I missed out on. I know that there are a bunch of things that I missed because I wasn't there on day one, but I can see if they're hiding in other boxes or they get turned in as people, you know, pick up their lists and don't take them. So let me know, and have a good week.